Guys, welcome back to the Hoosier Garage, and here is what's coming up next. Alright, some of you that keep up with all of this, especially this overhead console business, it's been a slow evolution. We had some downtime last year and doing the body work, and went ahead and got a design going, got the basic skeleton built. The next video we reinforced it, put some padding on it, covered it in some vinyl, and got some of the things established in it. Okay, like speaker for the CB, like a grill, and just kind of fun stuff like that. Well, we've added a few more things, and I think we even got a comment on the last one that said, are you going to waste all this space and not use anything for storage or anything? Well, we're not done yet. So we've got a stereo in here. I'll show you that. Actually pretty easy to install in one of these vans because you have a lot of room. The way this faceplate mounts, you can expand the size on it. Slips right in there, and yeah, really easy to wire into the current radio, or the actually the old radio pigtail, and then the actual just the wiring itself. So, and it's not invasive and in the way. So I'll give you kind of a little clip on what that's about. But right now we have these 4-inch Alpine speakers because we've got an Alpine stereo. I always kind of like to match the speakers with the radio. And I really didn't plan on going with a newer stereo like this, but the one I had, it was an old Motorola from the early 70s. I went to hook it up, and you can hear it burning out, and then you started smelling it. So I figured, well, that's out. Didn't want to really just fool around with another old one, so I thought we'll do modern on this one. And it happens to be one of these newer head units that doesn't even have a CD player, and so you might get a little bit of a cost efficiency in that, but it does have Bluetooth. That's cool, so we can kind of modernize on that. Have all kinds of features on this old military van that had nothing. So these speakers here, I've never had Alpine speakers before. I've had decks and all that stuff, but I've usually had Pioneer. But these are really nice. I had them open earlier when I got them. One of the speakers. Slip it out of here. You don't want to drop it. Got them big old magnets on it. So they have a nice cone on them, a little tweeter. And they wrap them up nicely there, and they get a little bezel there for, I'm sure, some applications might call for it. It might even be good to use in something like this, kind of as a spacer. So yeah. So here's what's next. Here's what we need to figure out on this console. Okay, so I have the console swung down. Again, it's on hinges. And it just swings up. And it clips in over top of the bulkhead on the sides. Okay. So we have a few options here. Now remember, it's a 4-inch speaker. We could put it here, put it here. We might even possibly be able to put it right here in this corner. Now, one concern I had was, even though this hangs fairly low, and we have eliminated the factory location for the sun visors, which mounted right here, we might be able to add some here, and it would be the shorter style, like from a car, because of the obstruction of this coming down. It wouldn't reach as far. Okay. So if that's to be used, they would not be like squared up either way, whether you put it here, 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 especially here. So I know you usually on a speaker you want it more to the side, opposite the other one. Okay, so you don't have that like drowning effect out of the center, so you have more of the stereo effect, right? So I think probably the further out here we can get it, the better. And that way, if we want to use a sun visor, I have these. I think they came from an A body. This, it can fit right here, flap up, and then with it up, which would be most of the time, it wouldn't obstruct the sound of the speaker. So let this back down again. I did make some dividers, and when you do your console, you can put the dividers wherever you want. I just kind of roughly picked these areas here because they're kind of evenly spaced, and it seems to work well there. But like I said, anywhere you want. Over here on this one, I'll show you a switch panel we had to add. I went ahead and cut into this brace and then down so that everything would accommodate. But it's still attached in the lower part of this, and then obviously on the back part, which wouldn't be the bottom. So I'm going to take this up for a few minutes, do a little mocking up, see where we want our little speakers at here in the front. I really like to put it here, and I've decided that before if I fully decide on this, that we need to make sure there's clearance up here when it does swing up. So I'm going to go ahead and just set it up. Now you have a little bit of the bump out from the tweeter, okay? And it is going to set a little bit lower, about a quarter of an inch lower than what it will be setting here, kind of wobbling around. I'm just going to swing it up there, set it in that position. Let it go as far up as it needs to go, which is right there. And it's far enough away from everything. It's a good inch away from the metal where it curves around. So we should be good on that. I'm also going to check it on that side just in case. It should be pretty symmetrical, same distances, but let's just be sure. We're good there. So next step, secure that out of the way. Now the console, we have it hanging back down now. And what I had on here, if you're familiar, was just these. And this was not their original shape either. They was like in a loop, and then you run like wires through them. It's kind of just a dainty little loom kind of a thing. Especially when you're putting all this weight of a CB radio, all the wood, all these gauges, the switches, and now the speakers on there. So there's a lot of weight kind of hanging off this front here that these hinges are doing a great job holding to the roof, which is a brace. And so we really want to have a nice secure situation here. Oddly enough, these, I just went back and looked for something a little thicker, and they're much more. I can't bend them by hand. And look at this. So this is where this was, okay, just like that. And when the weight would get on it, this would start to bend, and I just had it lodged up on top of here, okay. Now here's the ones that we did from the Camaro exhaust isolator brackets. See that? That is like off the chain, okay. And then I will just take wherever this is at, I'll put a washer back on there and our lock nut. And then I'll make sure it's secure and I'll tighten it up. Same thing on that side. And then we'll, it should fall right into this hole here. If not, we can do what we have to do. Thank you. All right, so I've refined these brackets. I've worked on them. Had to do a little extra bending. It's not so much a straight 90-degree angle. Either way, it's like there's a little bit of a bend in it. You can come up with anything if it seems like, man, why isn't he doing it this way? Be my guest, because sometimes I think a little backwards. So forgive me for that. For instance, you can put the bracket where it doesn't expose out here, but it actually go the other way. It could clip on a totally different way. I've just kind of decided this way, in case something happens here, I can access it by taking this bolt loose and getting the whole thing down. Just trying to give myself an out in case there's some magical problem that has come up. So I'll show you how I have these constructed. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these bolts here on each side. drops. Now here's the brackets up close. Now what I have here is basically a position screw. This hole I already had in here, so I just took advantage of it. It's to get the right caulking on it so that this is as far up against the paneling as I get it. Once I got it there, then I put that in. You could put it through it, run 2 bolts, however. I basically took here a clip like you'd find on a fender that has the threaded end on it and just slipped it over this. This gives you a little bit of play in case this relaxes or moves around or tightens up or anything. And then you can see there's a little bit of a bend on the bracket. I did more of a this way. Okay, pretty solid. Had just a slight bit of spring to it, which is fine. And it's just a duplicate on this side. Okay, I don't have a set there yet. I'll probably go ahead and put one in. I do have this bolted pretty tight in the meantime, and that's what I've come up with on this. The paneling that'll end up going over here, I'll have covered in carpet, kind of a minimal shag. It'll screw in here and it'll cover all of this. And this isn't sticking out too far to disrupt that. It'll just be kind of a bridge from here up to the panel there, and then go in over top the console. So it'll kind of blend in everything nice and easy. Before I put this back up, I'll just show you. Here's the switch panel that I was talking about. And I cut that just how I did on the speakers. I just drew a line out, cut what I needed to. Was really careful not to tear the vinyl and then the subsequent foam that's in behind there. And I opened up a notch here in the bracing, which, yes, the bracing is added. I mentioned that earlier, but just showing you again up close. It's glued and screwed from both directions on all of these braces. I might even add another one kind of up along here to kind of strengthen this flappiness here. It was mainly because the speaker kind of adds a little bit extra weight, but otherwise it'll work. I have these wires on a quick disconnect. You can disconnect them here. As with everything else, if we have to get the console down again, so we can disconnect the CB, the speakers, and all the other wiring there, and the main power source for the switch panel. The switch panel, I got it in a junkyard off of another van, and it has all the fuse blocks on it. You can spring them open and there's a fuse in there, okay, just a glass fuse, and you insert that back up in there and then they all light up. Obviously, if you get a light out, then that circuit's out, you need to replace the fuse, check out what's going on. So these will run some lights that I will have in some beams. I have a beam here and a beam back there, and they'll have a amber light on this end and one over here, kind of in a stained glass fashion. Make sure you like and subscribe. You'll see that soon if you haven't subscribed so far. And I will show you me putting this back up. Takes a little bit of an effort. Hopefully if you do it, it's dead on. Mine was dead on the other day when I did it, but then the next day maybe the humidity changed something and then you had to kind of work it around a little bit. And that was the body here to get the hole for the bolt to line up. So good luck to you. Good luck to me.
isolated showers and thunderstorms. Highs in the mid-80s. Lows in the mid-60s. Chance of precipitation 20%.
Now I was going to show you the stereo, since we really started out this video doing the speakers up here. And let me fire it up for you. The radio's on. Well, on since sleep, but turn on a source here.
September 17th and 18th in Las Vegas. The biggest artists in music come together for one weekend with performances you've never seen before and will never see again. Billie Eilish.
Of course, we gotta be careful what music we play, because YouTube will check it out and go, "Hey, you can't do that."
You'll see just how much money you could save.
Choosing a blue on Fun Lovin'.
So there's that. I would say if there's any other things that I would do to this console down the road, somebody, like I said earlier, they mentioned storage. I might put a cubby hole here, and a lot of those, they have like a bezel that fits in there. You cut it just like you cut anything else in this. And then it has kind of a bag, like a cloth bag type feature that slips in there, and that way it keeps stuff from like rolling out on you, and it can kind of set in behind the lip here. So that might be down the road. Right now, I've got a glove box. I've got all the room back here to put something. So we'll just leave it smooth there now. We have our paneling, your switch panel here, and our gauges that still need to be addressed, and obviously the CB. One thing, on the Alpine, it's got a Bluetooth speaker you can talk to. I mounted the Bluetooth right over here. Just a simple clip. I put it in behind the edge here. You can move it around anywhere you want. I thought I'd put it here kind of towards the center, facing me, and you can do your commands. I still need to set all that up on that Alpine stereo, but you know, you put it up here and anything like that. I got these speaker grills. There's none that come with it, which is fine, because usually they give you something that doesn't match what you're wanting to do anyways. Just a generic. And these speakers, they say that they're 4-inch. Now this is Alpine's 4-inch, but they really seem to clock out in the 3.5, you know, 3.5 range. And my holes for these, when I did the measurement, they come out for the 3.5s. So I got a pair of these. They was like 15 bucks. I think they look really good in this all black type of thing here. So there's that. So the overhead console. Part 3. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's educational, helpful, entertaining, something for you. This is my first one I've ever built. I just took advice from some of the old timers that built vans back in the 70s as far as the hinging. So they get the credit for that, and where to draw the measurement off of. I brought it a little bit further this way. A lot of them like to go over the vent window post. And as far as the styling, you can do that any way you want, any way you see fit. You can make it shorter, taller, wider, whatever. It's all up to you. And just let me know what you've done in yours, and even what you've planned to do if you haven't done anything yet. Any questions on this, be sure to let me know. Okay, you just write it in the comments down below. Yeah, so hey, make sure you get you a t-shirt or a decal in the links below, and make sure you like, subscribe, and like I said, comment. Thanks for coming to the Hoosier Garage. We'll see you next time.